Hello, my name is Dove. Today we have a different angle because I am planning to restack my books. As you can see, I do have quite the stack up here. That is my only bookshelf, really, and it's full to the brim. I do have like a different type of bookshelf in my living room, but I don't actually fill it with books. It has like one of my sewing machines and a bunch of other craft supplies, but it just looks like nicer in there. So the rest of my books are mostly stacked here or scattered around in various piles on the floor. So for this video, I'm going to go ahead and take all of these down and reorganize and put them back up in a more stable position, because also my cats like to climb this, and lately, if you get them ordered just right, I've been stacking my books for a long time, and I feel like people, like other book talkers, booktubers, whatever, you guys all have such beautiful shelves, okay, and I love that for you. I do not have the space for that, and also I kind of like the look of my horizontally stacked chaos. My books are quite unconventionally organized in a way that is purely vibes alongside the literal size of it, because we gotta go wide to narrow in order to get a really solid stack. So yeah, I'm gonna go collect all of my books up from around the house. I'm gonna take all of these down. I'll kind of have some show and tell for notable stuff, and then we're gonna put them all back. And maybe I'll clean up my dresser while I'm at it. Make this whole area look really cute. Give you a before and after. Oh, maybe I should do that. Oh my god, hold on. Okay, let's give you a little pan of the room. My cat is like, why don't you have the blinds open? Well, because I am recording a video. Okay, this is what we're starting with. All right. I'm thirsty before I even start. I'm gonna fill this. Okay, now that my water's filled, I think first step, I'm gonna go ahead and gather up the books from around the house. So let me do that and I'll show you. Okay, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. This is the only books that I got from like other places. The rest of the stuff I'll show you from the books that aren't up there was actually like a haul that I went to Powells the other day, which is Portland's local independent bookstore, the largest independent bookstore in the world. It is an entire city block, and it's like 3 stories, 4 stories, very, very open to interpretation. I was eavesdropping on my neighbors. I had the window open, and they were talking in the backyard. And honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed to keep filming this now and talking to you guys, knowing that my neighbors can hear me. Maybe I should shut my window. Okay, we're back. I closed my window. Okay, anyways, the other books that I had was this one that was too big to show you guys. I took this out a couple weeks ago. This is one of my favorite books as a kid. I know how to tie a lot of knots. I was just talking about this in my TikTok a couple of weeks ago. Anyways, let me show you guys my Powell's haul. Yes, I spent too much money. No, I don't care. Okay. Also, I did have a $25 gift card, so I don't feel as bad. It was like $90 for everything, which I really don't think is that bad. I should clarify. I paid $90. It was more like $115. Okay, anyways. Number 1, Joan Didion, The White Album. For some reason, the first Joan Didion book that I read was somehow My Year of Magical Thinking, which is like one of her later books. But anyways, I love her style, so I got The White Album because, of course, I did. Okay, this I was not expecting. This is like, it's not a zine, technically, but it's giving zine energy. I love Barbara Kingsolver. Most people know her for the Poisonwood Bible, which is actually my least favorite of her books. I love her writing for her personal essays. High Tide in Tucson and Small Wonders are both wonderful collections. But I do also like The Bean Trees and Pigs in Heaven and Animal Dreams and some of her other stuff. Specifically, I just didn't like the Poisonwood Bible, but that's like her most famous book. Anyways, I always just go and like give a glance to her section, and I saw this little It is A Reader's Guide to the Fiction of Barbara Kingsolver, The Bean Trees, Homeland and Other Stories, Animal Dreams, and Pigs in Heaven. And then it has like a couple of interviews. It has like a speech that Barbara did. Anyways, it was $3. So I was like, yeah. Also, pro tip, and maybe I shouldn't be giving this one away because it is like quite the tourist destination. But if you go to Powell's, it is an independently run bookstore. It's new and used. So every time I'm buying a book, I look at every single copy of that book and choose the cheapest one, or the one with the best cover, because there will be like multiple different covers or whatever, just depending on what their stock is at the time. And you can, like, this makes a huge difference sometimes. Every once in a while, it's only like $1 or $2, and some books, they won't have any used copies at the time. But this book, Toni Morrison's Home, it looks brand new. It's normally supposed to be $14.95, but because I got a used one, it was only $10. Same thing with this next one here. I got The Cartographers. Also, if you don't know, I'm a big geography person. That's what I got my degree in. So once we get to the bottom here, I have more geography books. But this was like a fiction book about geographers. And I was like, I absolutely want to hear more about that. And then I got Heritage by Miguel Bonnefoy. Also, a great thing about Powell's. This is really just becoming an advertisement for Powell's Books. I'm just really lucky as a person who loves books to live in a place with such a great bookstore. They do like staff recommendations, and so I always pick up a staff recommendation or two, which is how I got In Memoriam. I got this book because of a staff recommendation. And I have a video about this book in progress, because as you can see, I did love it. Oh my god, my cat has the zoomies. Yeah? Never mind. Okay. I don't even remember what I was saying now. Anyways, next book, All the Pretty Horses, Cormac McCarthy. Have I read The Road yet? No, this one has a better title. Listen, it wasn't even the cover, okay? It was the title. Okay, you guys had to have heard that, right? There's so much chaos. Okay, anyways, I was planning to get The Road, and then the copies that they had were either expensive, like they were all new, or they had a really, really ugly cover. And this one was another staff recommendation. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get the one that the staff recommended as like my first venture into Cormac McCarthy, because as we just talked about, I trust staff recommendations. I have yet to be led astray. Again, there's a video coming about this book, but because I have so much to say, it's actually pretty complicated. Listen, I was planning to just talk about this book and then maybe a little bit of the movie 1917, but then as I was doing research for it, I realized there's more to say. So not only do I have to talk about the book and the movie 1917, we also need to talk about Thucydides and the Odyssey and like 4 different Tennyson poems. So that video is on the way. By the way, this is one of the other books that I got while I was there. It was just the first one that I tore into and tore through. I read this book in it was 2 days, but like it was less than 2 days. It was like Sunday evening and then part of Monday. I tore through it. Now my geography books. So one of them, this is called Textures of Place, Exploring Humanist Geographies, and it is a compilation of it's basically like a lit compilation of a bunch of different essays by noted geographers, including my boy Yi-Fu Chuan, who, again, new audience, I'll talk to you guys about Yi-Fu Chuan at some point, because he is my greatest inspiration. Anyways, and then the last thing I got is another geography book this one is more of like pop science. It is called Invisible Lines, Boundaries and Belts That Define the World. And it's about borders and whether or not they mean anything, and the implications for like people, wildlife, humans in general, like trade, like all sorts of different angles, because geography is a huge field. So those are the books that I just got. Okay, we have a silly new angle, but I wanted you guys to be able to see as I was getting the books down. Guys, I'm still learning the medium. I don't I don't know what I'm doing right now. Hey Goofus, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna make them all stable again so that you can jump on them without knocking a bunch over like you have been lately, which is entirely my fault, and I know that. Listen, the cats really run this place, okay? He has one rule. His one rule. His only rule is don't eat my plants. Does he follow it? No. So really, he has no rules. I'm running out of space. I mean, not actually, but like a little bit. It's running out of space for what I would rather it be. Also, the fact that I do stack my books is part of why I don't really like hardcovers. Because I don't want to, listen, the lighter they are to pull down, if I want something at the bottom, the better. Although I'm pretty good about making sure that when I put them up, I'm not going to want stuff at the bottom for a long time. Again, I know it's chaos, but it works for me, okay? And I think it's cute. I also just straight up do not have enough space to have bookshelves that could hold all of my books. Like I really don't have a spot in my house currently that I could do that. So top of my tall boy dresser has been the place for a while now. And then again, when I had other stuff, or like when it was organized a little different, I also just had like stacks in my living room as well as on top of my dresser. That was before I got this bookshelf, which is only like 15 inches wide. And I basically use it to hold all of like the big books, like the coffee table books, and then my like vintage Nat Geos. Although those two shelves, can you see? You can't see. Those two shelves, that one and then the one beneath it, kind of has like journals in one of them and like nice magazines that I've like collected. And then the other one is also like kind of my TBR shelf, but like vaguely. And also, if I'm being honest, that's not all of the books that I need to read. like there's more that are mixed in. This book, it's the Body Keeps Score. Some people loved this book. They absolutely loved it, okay? And then other people completely hated it. And I really see both reasons. I just feel like the Body Keeps Score is a really perfect example of things not being marketed to the right audience. I feel like this book gained a bunch of traction for like, oh my gosh, you're gonna learn how to like heal yourself from trauma and all of that stuff, without like warning the people who are trying to use it as a self-help book that it is probably going to be very, very triggering, and not just because of the methods. Like, I feel like this book was meant for others in the field. Like, this was written for peers, psychologists, psychiatrists, other people in like mental and physical health care, and it got marketed as a self-help book. Or maybe not even like marketed as one, but it certainly had the cultural reputation of being one. And I think it led to a lot of people not like expecting what they were gonna get, and therefore really hating it. And honestly, I respect that, and I think that it was a disservice to them. Like, I really think people should know actually what this book is trying to say. I can see something sticking out of this one, and I can't wait to open it and see what I put in there last time. I feel like since we're reorganizing books, maybe I should talk a little bit about my philosophy surrounding books, because while I think it is perfectly reasonable, I think everything about it is normal and reasonable. However, I do know that it scandalizes some people about my relative disregard for the way that I treat my books. Because here's the thing, as I was saying earlier, like, I'm oftentimes already buying used books, and I don't even care if they're like heavily used, because I am a person I don't see books as precious objects. Unless it's like a really old book or like a special edition, it's just a book. I care about the content, not necessarily what it looks like. I mean, I do care what it looks like. Like, I want cute covers, right? But I mean the condition of that, I don't really care. And I'm pretty hard on my books. Also, I annotate, I write in my books already. Like, when I'm reading things, I like having paperbacks because I like being comfortable when I read, and hardcover books are heavy to hold up. I'm never really in a situation where I'm just gonna like have a book on a table to read it. Like, that's not really how I'm gonna be sitting to read. So that's not a benefit for me from hardbacks. So with softcovers, like, I will read them however it's comfortable. And oftentimes that means completely folding the cover over, which means I crack a lot of spines. And I don't care, okay? It's not like I'm out here trying to trash my books. But if I'm really into a book and I can't put it down, so I take it with me, say, to go swimming in the river because it's summer and I want to hang out with my friends, and it gets a little bit wet, it's my book. Oh well, as long as I can still read it. And also, every time I see that book in the future and say, oh look, it's like water stained, it's water warped, I'll think, oh yeah, I was so into that book that I took it with me to the river because I just couldn't put it down. I don't know, I think it adds to the charm. They're my books. I would never do this to other people's books. However, mine are not precious. Now, I wouldn't love if other people did this to my books on purpose. Like, I still would want them to care, because then that's your story, not mine. You know what I mean? But if they don't, oh well, it is what it is. I'm probably not going to lend you a super precious book anyway. Honestly, most of the books that I lend people, I don't get back. And that is what it is. I kind of go into it knowing that I read a lot of like pop science about birds, and at least 3 of my bird books have been passed around between 2 of my friends, and I have not seen any 3 since. Actually, that's not true. One of my friends brought one back so that I could immediately give it to the other friend for him to read. So, I don't know. If they don't come back, they don't come back. It is what it is. Also, do you guys care that I'm like not looking at the camera every second that I'm talking? Because I'm gonna be really honest with you. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to do a voiceover if I'm not, like, if I have to look at the camera every time. I'm not gonna get anything done. So I hope you don't care if I'm just continuing to talk while I'm over here pulling stuff out. All of these technically fit in here. The only reason I'm pulling them out is because maybe I want some of them more visible. Maybe the size of them is gonna work better, again, for stable conditions. Maybe I want to reprioritize my TBR. Who knows? We'll figure it out together. Do I have too many books? Yes. Do I care? No. Again, when you buy used books, a lot of my books I spent like $5 or less on. You can go like Goodwill, any type of thrift store often has tons of books to get. No, they don't have the most trendy books, but honestly, I'm not typically reading the most trendy books anyways. And then also, if you, for whatever reason, don't have the time or physical ability to go and like search through bookstores, Thrift Books and Abe Books are both like online used bookstores. You can get like a lot of books on there for under $5 that are in like perfectly good condition. Like I got this copy of A Streetcar Named Desire for $6. Yeah, it's used, but it looks fine to me. It's gonna look worse after I read it. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave the other shelf because it's mostly just magazines and then like a couple of completely random kind of no other category books. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera around and you can see what we're working with here. Of course, both of them have to come check it out. It's very interesting. Don't look at my don't look at my pile. You know how things go. Okay, so anyways, I got distracted from what I got distracted from what I was actually going to show you. So this is what we're working with, and then I also have some up here. I'm gonna start organizing these and then just kind of, I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see. We'll figure it out together. Maybe I'll talk about some like physical book opinions as well. Okay, so already talked about I love a paperback, okay? But within paperbacks, I also have I need a few things for it to be a truly good paperback. Okay, here's Song of Achilles. Pretty good paperback, okay? Floppiness. There's certainly been better. There's certainly also been much, much worse. I would give this a 7 out of 10 on my floppiness scale. The really good one is actually Dune, which is right here, that I still haven't finished. Still haven't finished it. This is the perfect floppy book. Look at that. You can hold, it stays open. Whoops, if I don't close it myself, it stays open any page, every page. Like this is the perfect paperback book. Okay, another thing, I know people are very split. Do you like deckled edges? Because I do like a deckled edge. I'm like looking around trying to find one that has it. Braiding Sweetgrass has it, but I don't know where Braiding Sweetgrass is right now. It really could be anywhere. I think my first step, I'm gonna separate out the really small books that are gonna have to go on top, like these ones. I mean, these two are journals, but like these are teeny tiny. Slouching Towards Bethlehem is like, let me collect those first. Oh, also, I'm not gonna grab the stuff that's up at the very top because it's mostly just YA, and then also like travel books, and then my mass market paperbacks of Outlander, which I just don't really need to display, and also they would have to go at the very top because they're the mass market paperbacks, so they're so tiny and so thick, and like I just don't need, they're up there. I've read them all. Also, I have them on my Kindle, so really I should get rid of those books. Maybe I'll put them in one of the little libraries. My neighborhood has like 4 of them. 2 of them are within like 3 minutes of my house, so that's really nice. I was not planning to make this a like unhauling video, and I'm still not planning to, but I do know that I have at least a couple of doubles that I accidentally acquired 2 of them. So if I see any of those, I'm gonna pick one and then I'll bring those to one of the little libraries. A lot of my classics are on the smaller side. I mean, a lot of my classics are also mass market, so that would explain it partially, but some of them aren't, and they're still pretty small. Like this Pride and Prejudice that I have, and this To Kill a Mockingbird. Wait, is this? I'm gonna be so real with you guys. Okay, this copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, I stole from my 4th grade teacher, Miss Sennett. And Miss Sennett, if you are seeing this, I'm so sorry I took this book, but I think I realized it was yours when I was like in high school, and I felt like it was too late by the time I noticed. But now I haven't been in high school for like 6 years, 7 years. God, is that right? Oh my God. Okay, anyways. So I feel like it's really been too long now. Very sorry about that. Just know I've read it a couple times and it went to a loving home. I did have a teacher in high school named Dr. Burns. If you knew Dr. Burns, everybody freaking loved Dr. Burns. Okay, he was 75 years old when I had him, my freshman year of high school. He only retired a few years ago. This man loves Shakespeare, worked at public schools in inner city Chicago, marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, had a black girlfriend in the 40s. He had so much good life advice. Basically, his class was like life advice in Shakespeare. That was the class that I had him for, at least, because he taught the senior English class. The class that I had him for was like one of those like fake classes that everybody has to take. It was like a communications class or something like that. I don't even remember. And it wasn't though. It was life advice, Shakespeare. Anyways, all of this to say, one of his pieces of life advice was that if you're gonna steal anything, it should be a book. If you're gonna steal something, a book is permissible, okay? And he actually recommended this book to me, Beach Music by Pat Conroy, and I stole it from him. So thank you, Dr. Burns. Was it stealing if he recommended it to me and then also told us it was okay to steal books? Maybe not. Very gray area. I am sorry though, Miss Sennett. Why is my copy of The Goldfinch so thick and compact? I think it's because it's so thick that it gives the illusion of being even tinier. Although the books that I actually do have a bone to pick with their size, so even though I didn't finish the first one, I was like, I know what'll encourage me to keep reading. Go ahead and get the next two. What is this? What is this? Hold on, I'll show you the worst part. What is that? This book? Fantastic floppiness. I hate it. I really hate it. I've kind of collected like the really small ones that are gonna have to go on top. And now I'm gonna just go ahead and pick out the stuff at the bottom. So the bottom, I typically put any of my big, like oversized books that I'm probably not gonna need. When I was a kid, I used to go to the library and check out like every single craft book there was in both the adult and the children's section, which I think is good practice. And actually more people should do it, because now so many people ask me, they're like, how do you know how to do all of these random things? It's because I went to the library and I read every how-to book ever. So when I came across this at the Goodwill, it's instructions for how to make kaleidoscopes. Look at this kaleidoscope I got you from the airport. It's from BoJack. It's so funny because I will have like seen shows that TikTok audios go viral from, and I'll forget that that's where it came from. Because like out of context, I just don't remember. The only exception to this is, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too damn bad. Which of course, you already know that. I already talked about it for an hour. But I was surprised to see how many people were saying that they didn't realize that was from Holes. Also, look at this really cute copy I have of Black Beauty. Oh, here's another book that I stole from high school. Very sorry, Miss Ferris. I did take a copy of The Jungle. Also, this is a cool book that I got that I would have never bought if I hadn't found it at a Goodwill. That is the Handbook of Old Pottery and Porcelain Marks. And it has all of these maker marks from different ceramicists throughout time and space, which is just, I think, really cool. Like, look at all of these artists' insignias. It's just very neat. But it's not something that I need to reference all the time, and it is a hardcover, so it's going at the base. Robert Frost. What's this one? Emily Dickinson. Both fantastic poets. Don't necessarily need to reference them all the time though, and they are hardcover. I went to go open up this book. It's Unbroken by Lauren Hillenbrand, but I felt like a bump. And I was like, what's in there? I found some pressed flowers. God knows when I put those in there. I'm too far to show you. I'm gonna be so real with you guys. Okay, I read Normal People. My copy of Normal People is right here. Okay, I watched the Hulu show in 2020. or maybe it was 2021 by that time. I don't even remember now. Watched the Hulu show. Literally, the second the finale was over, I ordered the book because I needed to read that immediately. Tore through it. I loved this book, okay? I love normal people. So I was like, let me go ahead and read some more Sally Rooney. Okay, well, the other book that was out at the time was Conversations with Friends, which is around here somewhere. And I got it, and then also Beautiful World, Where Are You came out pretty soon after. So I just went ahead and bought both of them, expecting to love it as much as I loved Normal People. And then I read Conversations with Friends. It was a book. It wasn't a bad book, but it was a book. And that's really genuinely all I have to say about it. It was just kind of like, oh, you guys are both bad friends. I don't know. I didn't like it, okay? And I still haven't read, actually, yes I did, because, wow, I never finished Beautiful World, Where Are You? You can see where I have bookmarked it with the cover. So I never actually ended up even finishing Beautiful World, Where Are You? Because I just don't really love her other books. And I wanted to because I love Normal People. This is a fantastic book. This is a 5-star read for me. What even is this one? Oh, here's an example of Deckled Edges. Can you see that? You can't see that. Oh no. Focus. Okay, well, the Deckled Edges are when the different... That's a really beautiful... Look at the inside of this cover. I don't even know what this book is. It's Horizon by Barry Lopez. I got it at Powell's used for $8. It doesn't have the dust sleeve, so therefore, I don't know what it is. Okay, something World War II. The prologue is talking about USS Arizona, Japanese dive bombers, looking for a ship. I think it's actually nonfiction. I'm gonna have to look this up, but it really does have a beautiful inner cover. I also know that people have differing opinions on how much of your bookshelf should you have read. Have you really read all of them? No. No, I have not read all of them. But I think there's something to be said for being able to shop your own shelf. I mean, not me, I don't have shelves. But I feel like there are books that I've had for a long time that I didn't read until years after I got them, but then I picked it up when it was the right time. Mood reading. It just might not be the right time, but I know that at some point this is something I will be interested in. And if that's the case, I'll go ahead and grab it because again, I'm buying cheap books for the most part. I would say I've read about half of these. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I'm kind of torn on whether to put Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow at the bottom because I did have this on my TBR shelf, but I just kind of don't feel like I'm gonna read it for a while. People love this book and that's why I got it. And I remember I got it because I wanted to read it immediately, and then the paperback hadn't even come out yet, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy the hardcover, and then I didn't read it, so what was the point? But I'm not gonna get rid of it now. Another one that's been on the bottom for a long time is I have a hardcover of The History of Love. This is another book. Oh, I have pressed flowers in here too. This is another book that I got. I also have, this is what I'm talking about of I love finding stuff. I have the Crazy Horse Memorial pamphlet from when I was moving back to Oregon across the country. It was the week of the eclipse in 2017. And we got to see Totality in a random teeny tiny town in Nebraska in a Taco Bell parking lot. I just made a TikTok about this because it actually is a pretty cool story. But we ended up going back out of Nebraska and into Iowa to take the northern route because I hadn't been to South Dakota or Montana before. And I've been to most states. So I wanted to knock those two off. I ended up falling in love with South Dakota. I really want to go back and actually spend some time in the Black Hills as opposed to just kind of driving through. We saw Crazy Horse, we saw Mount Rushmore, we actually didn't see Devil's Tower because we missed the turn and we're like, nah, another time. So I do want to go back. That's not what we're talking about though. I have a hardcover of The History of Love. Here's the Badlands National Park pamphlet that I have in there as well. So that's fun. And we got some stickers of the Badlands too. Anyways, this book was my favorite book in high school. And I haven't read it since high school. I would have told you this was my favorite book for like a solid 3 or 4 years. And I haven't read it since then. And I think it might be time to reread it. So I'm actually going to keep this one out, even though it normally lives at the bottom. I looked over and I saw a couple obvious bottom books. We got Small Scale Livestock Farming. And then another urban farming book. Those will go at the bottom. Another book that I think I'm going to put at the bottom, it is a hardcover. It's not very big or heavy, but this is The Magical Language of Others. It's a memoir by a Korean person named E.J. Ko, and it's a bunch of like letters that they wrote to their mother, and just like it's a memoir about their life and their relationship with their mother. And I ordered this online from Powells during the pandemic, and I ordered just like a normal copy, and the one that they sent me is actually an autographed copy, which I thought was really cool. So there's the author's autograph. Great book. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I'm going to read it again for years, probably. Okay, another cool book that I got from Goodwill. I'm pretty sure I got this from the Goodwill bins too. It's called Say It With Hands, and it's a sign language book. It has little diagrams of how to do different signs. Course correction, rowing book. I read a lot of rowing books when I first joined rowing. Charlie Smith, Crystal River. I have no clue if I've read this book before. Also, something about me, I was not consistent on rating stuff on Goodreads until literally 2022. So I have no actual record of books that I've read or the way that I felt about them, other than whatever I have written in the books themselves. I don't think I have too many other things that I actually know about and want to read. These ones I know are at the bottom. I have 2 like books from an artist that I followed for a while. I feel like I haven't seen any of her posts in a couple years now, but Mari Andrew, and I liked her books, but I'm not going to read them again anytime soon, and they're very heavy. And then last one is I bought when some of our great historical fashion YouTubers published this book. It was Abby Cox and Lauren Stoll, 18th Century Dressmaking. I pre-ordered it when they said that they were doing that. Okay, I have plenty to start stacking these, so I'm gonna do that for my bottom layer here. We're starting with the like really big actual, excuse me, I'm gonna be putting stuff here. Starting with these as our very bottom layer. So don't put all of your books, your big books, on top of one another. Excuse me. I need to put a book there. Don't put all of them right on top of each other either. Go ahead and spread them out. I think I really only have the space to do 2 of the biggest stacks, but I will definitely have a second layer here. It's gonna be probably 5 individual stacks that are just together, but each stack is mostly separate. I promise it works, okay? And it's stable when done right. But this is why, is there a method to my madness when it comes to how I arrange my books? Not really. There is when it comes to which ones I want to be visible, but otherwise it's by size. And then I can do it by genre for some, like quite a few books. Just because a lot of them happen, you reach a point where like, okay, most of the books right now are the same size, so you have a lot of flexibility as to where you put things. I do think I'm gonna leave this one out, the Kaleidoscope book. Also, I was on the fence for this one. It's David Sedaris, A Carnival of Snackery. I really like David Sedaris. In 2020, Masterclass did a thing where it was like if you had a student email, you could get a year of Masterclass for $1. 100% took advantage of that. They didn't have a ton of like classes on there at that point, but they did have David Sedaris's writing class, and I I really did enjoy his masterclass. So I haven't read this one yet, but I don't think I'm going to for a while, so it can go at the bottom. Again, so the ones at the very bottom are like a little bit away from the wall, and the next layer is going in the center of those, okay? The pottery book is actually going to be the base for one of my smaller stacks. And then I think for the other stack, that's where I'll use Frost and Dickinson, because they're still like the solid heavy books, but they're small enough that they won't fall off my waterfall thing. I think I'm gonna put, no, sorry Horizon, you're gonna probably have another couple years before I read you. I'll put tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow at the bottom, but I'll put it on one of the front stacks, so we have a little bit, like I'll remember it exists, because also that's the thing with ADHD, if you don't see it, it doesn't exist. So I have to be strategic about which ones are visible. I think I'll have it at the bottom, but in one of the stacks that we can actually see. All right, that was our first layer. Now I'm gonna basically do the process again, but for things that are a little bit bigger. Also, I will, like, again, I'll have another stack on this side right here, but that'll be for like smaller books. Honestly, normally my Barbara Kingsolver stack is often in that part, The God of Small Things. Great book. Okay, this is another book that I really loved. And then same thing with this. Okay, so we have Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer, who I really enjoyed this book. And then I learned that he was also the guy who wrote Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, which, do I own that book? I haven't read it though. I did see the movie. And then I independently loved Nicole Krauss, because Nicole Krauss is the one who wrote History of Love that I was talking about earlier. So I ended up buying another Nicole Krauss book, Great House, and then come to find out that these two people used to be married. I think at this point we're actually back to like most things are close to the same size. So I'm really just gonna start kind of going by vibe. I'm gonna start pulling out ones that I know I'm gonna wanna probably grab and then like reverse engineer. Something about me, I'm gonna read pop science. I am, okay? Love some science communication. Birdway, I enjoyed that one. One of the bird books that I never got back was The Thing with Feathers, I think is what it's called, and I don't remember the author off the top of my head, but that's like, I would say my go-to recommendation for pop science bird book. I have another one that's around here somewhere. Vesper Flights, here it is. Vesper, oh my god, I can speak. Maybe I can't speak. Okay, Vesper Flights by Helen MacDonald. This is a book that I was very hard on. This was a new book that I got, and it looks like this. The spine is cracked and worn, but I actually really enjoyed this book, and I'm surprised that more people don't talk about it. It's called The Last Painting of Sarah de Vos, and it's about like the Dutch, okay, it takes place during different times. There's a timeline where it is actually when the painting was being made back in like the height of the Dutch paintings. I want to say it was like late 1600s. And then there's like a person in New York City in the 50s, and then there's that same person in like Australia or something in 2000. And basically this person was like commissioned to make a fake painting, like replicate, or what's it called? What's that called? I can't think of the word right now. Anyway, she like replicated a painting. She was paid a lot of money, and now like she has to go like authenticate her own, like it was a successful swap or whatever happened, and like it's years and years later, but is she gonna own up to it? How does this all tie together? What's the story of the person who painted it? Because it was actually a woman. Oh, there's something in here. Wow. This has been a bookmark that I have used since my freshman year of high school. My very first boyfriend took it on his film camera, and he gave it to me, and it has been a bookmark for years. And I actually picked up my copy of Catcher in the Rye the other day, expecting it to be in there because it lived in there for a long time, and it wasn't. And I was like, man, I wonder where it is then. Have I lost it after all these years? No, it was in the last painting of Sarah DeVos. Honestly, probably one of the last places I would have looked. I read The Island of Sea Women by Lisa C. It's a really, don't get me wrong, great book. It's about the divers of Jeju Island in Korea, and like their experience during the war. Listen, this book is great, but huge trigger warnings for violence and sad shit. Okay. Okay, this is a good book, actually. I recommend, if you're interested in like Dust Bowl anything, I actually highly recommend Whose Names Are Unknown by Sonora Babb, which is like a very slept on American novel. I just realized my copy of Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver. I got this one wet. It's I don't know if you could see, must have gotten this one wet. It has a little crackle to it. But you know what? It's readable. Okay, Modern Lovers. I read this one, I don't know, 2018 or something. It was fine. It was a good book. I just didn't, again, walk away unchanged. I feel like that's what I want out of books. Don't get me wrong, I love a fun read. However, I also want things that make me think. And a lot of the fun reads just don't really like stick with you. So I'm not like, I don't remember really what happens in that book. It wasn't life-changing, you know? The Power of One, that's a book that makes you think. Okay, The Book Thief. I've owned this book for probably a decade. Have not read it yet. Need to read it. This one is definitely going like, I'm gonna read this soon, I promise. This one I'm kind of afraid to read. I got it. It's called When the River Runs Dry. It's defining water, the defining crisis of the 21st century. I'm sure it has very important information that would make me really anxious. So I don't think now is the time, but someday it will be. It's probably when the water crisis starts to affect me. Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, never got around to reading it. Also, never ended up watching the movie either. I think I'm gonna watch the movie and then see. Point is, not something I need towards the top. Oh, could you hear that? This is another person I followed on Instagram. It's Charlie Macri. Maxi. I can't tell if that's an R or an S. Anyways, it's cute. He has a really beautiful art style, and it's mostly like an art. Can you see that? It is pretty. I enjoyed it. This is a garden book. This is another person I follow on Instagram. Do you guys remember Lord Birthday? I feel like he kind of vanished for a while. But this is How to Appear Normal at Social Events. It's like absurdism, which is fun. Oh hey, another flower. I think this one's calendula. This was not the right like paper to be pressing a flower in. It doesn't want to separate. I think this is calendula. What do you think? Let me know. Committed to Memory, 100 Best Poems to Memorize. I very specifically remember getting this out of the Goodwill bins in Northport, Florida. Have I memorized a single poem out of it? No. But maybe I should. Maybe I should. Mark Twain, Joan of Arc, classic. Read it pretty recently though. Life of Pi is a book that I read when I was too young to like really get it. And I get it now, and I feel like I don't want to read it because I know how sad it will be now that I get it. Everybody loved Wild. It was fine. It was good. Eat, Pray, Love. This is one of the first books I ever annotated. There's a lot of like underlining, and I dog-eared like every page that I like stuff on. Now I think I would hate this book. I really liked it at the time. It was before I was as culturally aware. I enjoyed it at the time. I don't think I need to read it again. But I am a little nostalgic because I specifically remember I was like, I think I'm gonna write in my book. That was like the first time that I did that. So, okay, I don't know what to do about this stack. I've been kind of avoiding it. These are books by Yi-Fu Tuan. Remember when I said that I love Yi-Fu Tuan at the beginning of this? I don't really want to put them towards the bottom, but I also feel like they're kind of a whole separate genre from anything else, because this is like human geography theory. I don't really want them to be at the bottom, but they are bottom material because most of them are hard books. They're like pretty big and they're heavy, but I also don't really want them taking up that much shelf space on my very small shelf that I have available. More depressing water nonfiction. Oh, I actually did start reading it. I can see my dog here. I got to page 76. Okay, something about me is I really do love the Beatles, and I have a few different Beatles books. I mean, I don't think I showed you closely, but I do have the Paul McCartney books up there. But I have like a few like biographies. And I also have, I know it's over here. I have Cynthia Lennon's book. I definitely have a George Harrison book that my mom gave me, and I don't see it. Where did I put that? Or is it here and I just don't see it? It's probably here and I just don't see it. Okay, anyways, I haven't actually gotten around to reading this one yet, although it comes highly recommended, so I will get around to it eventually. But if you're gonna read a Beatles biography, I actually wouldn't even call this a Beatles biography. If you're gonna read a book about the Beatles though, it should be this one. It should be Dreaming the Beatles, because this is like half Beatles history, half memoir. It's not so much the history of the Beatles, it's the Beatles through this guy's eyes and his experiences with them. It also has an entire chapter dedicated to my favorite Beatles song, which is also his favorite Beatles song, All Too Much, off of Yellow Submarine, the cinematic album. If there is a single Beatles song that is underrated, it is All Too Much. They made a cosmic love song to the universe, and then they said, yeah, throw it on Yellow Submarine, I don't know. But my favorite song of their discography, if it's possible for a Beatles song to be underrated, it is that one. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of losing steam, but I do need to like put all of these books away because they're all over. I love Brian Doyle. Here's One Long River. You can see my flags. Highly recommend Brian Doyle. I'll make a whole video on Brian Doyle actually, because I have a lot to say about him, because him and I are birds of a feather. We don't stick together though, unfortunately. I didn't know he existed until after he had died. I don't know what I want to do with my Percy Jackson books. I have the new covers, because my childhood copies of Percy Jackson and the Hunger Games and like all of that stuff is in a box somewhere in a mountain of boxes at my parents' house, and I don't know that I will ever get them back. So I had to buy new copies when I read them a few months ago. I'm gonna be so real with you guys. I have this book. It's called The Art of Possibility. I bought this from the Goodwill bins specifically because I wanted to use it as an aesthetic prop for the 2014 Tumblr Art Ho aesthetic. And I did. And somewhere there are photos. I remember I took like a flat down of like my Instax Polaroid and like my sunglasses and this book and like I never had the Kanken bag though, but I had like a backpack that had daisies on it. And this was, I've not read this book. I picked it up because it was yellow. I'm really exposing myself. I think it's funny though. I don't know. You can look back at things and just be like, wow, we were silly kids. And wasn't it great to be a silly kid? Ugh. Okay, I found the double. I have 2 copies of The Island of Sea Women. I don't know how I ended up, I think I got one of them out of one of the little libraries around here and then promptly forgot that I had it and then bought it later. So I'll put one of these back, but I kind of want to put the other one back, and now I have to find it because this one's floppier. This is another book that I got from the Goodwill bins simply because of the cover. It is called Lanterns and Lances by James Thunder. And this copy is from 1962, and I just love it. And it has a few illustrations throughout it as well that are just like fun and silly. Braiding Sweetgrass should be required reading for life, but that's a whole video in and of itself. What was I thinking? I don't know why I chose to do this today, and I'm kind of regretting it. I just found more photos that I shoved into this book of my high school ex-boyfriend and my family dog who has now passed away, but I'm not going to show you because I don't have this person's permission, so. But just know it's very, very sweet. I don't know if I actually explained why you're not pushing stuff up against the back, but basically what gives the stacks structural integrity is weight. So when you're stacking your books, instead of pushing them all against the wall, you need to be centering them, okay? Each stack is a little, very, very steep kind of pyramid. It doesn't have to be like perfect, getting smaller as you go up, but if you can make small adjustments, I would suggest doing that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you should be generally trying to get smaller as you go. Okay, this is a book that I actually got kind of on a whim because I really liked the cover. It's Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. This was a great book. It's really short. It is only 114 pages. This is a lovely read, although I did read it in the wrong season. I read it in spring. This is definitely like something you should read around Christmas time. I mean, you can read it literally whenever because I did and it was great. But I think it would have been even better if I had read it around the holidays. So I still haven't actually read any Murakami books, but I got the Wind Up Bird Chronicles a few years ago. I don't know if it's actually the one I should read from him first, but I was just thinking, since I was talking about like small things like these, about another book that I'm actually lending to my coworker right now called Summer Book by Tove Jansson. Tova? I think it's probably Tova Jansson. No, it's probably Tova Jansson if we're being real here. Anyways, I'm lending it to my coworker right now, and I'm like, wow, I have the perfect little novella for winter. I have the perfect one for summer. I feel like I need a perfect one for spring and a perfect one for fall. So I have like 4 little novellas to recommend to people depending on the season. Ooh, actually I'm looking highly. I really enjoyed this book. It's called The Bear, and it's about this girl and her father and how they are like the last people on Earth. It's like far into the future. Maybe not that far. Like humanity has mostly died off and basically we're back to like indigenous practices. And these are the last 2 people on Earth, and when something happens, this little girl is on her own and she gets taken in by a bear. So between a man and a bear, yet another reason that to choose the bear. Oh, I do have Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Here it is. I don't think I've read it though. I don't see any dog earring. Listen, I get around to it eventually. Another absolutely classic naturalist book. We got Sand County Almanac. This was not, I don't know why I did this today. I'm gonna be so real with you. I don't know that that was the best choice. I really want it to be done, but it isn't. So I will keep doing it until it is. Also, if you enjoyed braiding sweetgrass, I actually really recommend also reading Robin Wald Kimmerer's other book, Gathering Moss. It's a lot shorter and it's all about moss, but it's a good read. If you like her writing style, then you'll like this too. It's maybe a little bit more like technical with the science, but I still think it's perfectly readable, even if you don't have a science background. I know it looks crazy. It really is pretty solid. I promise, it's not as precarious as it looks. Okay, it's actually the next day. I changed just a couple of things. I spun one of the stacks around to be front facing, and I cleaned up my dresser a little bit more. So I'm gonna give you guys a after result. So enjoy. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out. Let me know what you think. If you have any opinions on any of the books that I shared, or how I stack, or if you also stack and maybe you have a different method, or you are vehemently against stacking and you think I'm a crazy person, I would love to hear anything you guys have to say. Once again, hello, my name is Dove. Thanks for hanging out. Bye!